and thank you for joining us today for the meeting of the New York City Health and Hospital Capital Committee. Today's meeting is officially called to order. For the record, please note Dr. Eric Way is representing Dr. Mitchell Katz in a voting capacity. I would like to propose a motion to adopt the minutes of the Capital Committee meeting held on December 7, 2021. Let me poll each one of the members. Jose?
Yes.
Dr. Way?
Yes.
Frida? Sally?
Yes.
Bob Nolan? So Lisa, do we have forum? Even though Frida and Bob?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. The motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we will have the Senior Vice President report, Ms. Flaherty.
Good morning, Chairman Pecan, Capital Chair Peñamora, and members of the Capital Committee. Our office continues working on establishing our systems and initiating our pipeline of capital projects across our facilities as we can currently plan for future advocacy for capital funding, in addition to the $1.3 billion mayoral bond state borough president and council dollars secured over the course of the past year. Over the past months, we met a major milestone with our H&H bond portfolio in the design completion of all projects. With design complete, our construction, procurement, and budget teams have been very busy, and one of our resolutions today is the largest capital bond project within the portfolio. Our latest update on our H&H bond portfolio is that we have 19 infrastructure projects in the construction procurement phase. 10 projects have started construction, and 3 infrastructure projects have been completed, and 24 equipment projects have been completed. We are carefully monitoring our bid results on the outstanding infrastructure projects, and when needed, look towards mayoral capital reserves if required to ensure all of this urgent work is completed. We are working on our anticipated cash flow expenditures as requested by the July meeting of the Capital Corps with Finance. We have started campus-wide master planning for Elmhurst Hospital, and we are working through our anticipated timeline and annual budget for system-wide assessments and master planning efforts. Our system-wide assessment master planning RFP is planning to be issued to the market shortly. In the past months, our operational teams have been enhancing our sites, preparing for joint commission at Metropolitan, Jacoby NCB, Harlem, Elmhurst, and Woodhull, and are preparing for the cooling season with spring upon us. With significant work underway, I'm happy to take any questions the committee may have in advance of our 5 resolutions for today's agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flaherty. Let me go one by one with the committee members if they have any questions. Jose?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Way?
No questions, but just in awe of everything that you're doing, Christine, and the team's doing.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dr. Way. Sally?
Just, you mentioned an RFP, Christine. Could you tell me what that was again?
So it's not yet in the market, but we'll be putting out a system-wide RFP that will allow our sites to perform site assessments and master planning for their campuses so that they could really review, do a deep dive both on additional outstanding infrastructure modernizations needed, as well as thinking of a long-term 5 to 10-year plan on a per campus basis, as well as system-wide basis for specific system-wide initiatives. This is an area of work that we had identified prior to COVID as being a need. The actual studies will inform our capital planning requests and will allow our local campuses to look at our community needs and have the level of stakeholder engagement that we desperately believe would be a long-term investment for our future.
It sounds terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Let me just double check. I just want to echo what both Dr. Way as well as Sally mentioned. It's very impressive the amount of work that you have been undertaking, and we are also very impressed with how you have been moving the projects along and committing the resources to get the project started. So we just want to thank you and your team for such a wonderful job.
Thank you so much.
So I know that we have several resolutions. So the floor is yours.
Okay, great. Our first resolution is authorizing the New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, the system, to execute a renewal of a 5-year revocable license agreement with Consolidated Edison Company of New York, Inc., the licensee, to operate a radio communications system in approximately 50 square feet of space on the roof of the Martin Luther King Pavilion Building at Harlem Hospital Center. The facility at an annual occupancy fee of $36,295.60 to be escalated at 3% per year for a 5-year total of $192,698.27. So just quickly, I want to go through the background associated with this resolution. Con Ed has been operating this radio system at Harlem Hospital since 2002. It enhances Con Ed's ability to service the community so that they can really see the grid in real time and communicate. It covers 55 miles of radius, servicing the Bronx, Manhattan, and northern Queens. And it receives utility demand consumption and outage data for substations that transmit throughout their network. This includes an 800 megahertz Motorola iDEN system for voice communications and a 900 megahertz system for data transmission. It's located on our MLK roof. And let's go to the next slide. This has been occupying a small portion of our roof space for quite some time. There were board agreements as far back as 2001, 2007, 2012, and more recently in December of 2016 for this very small area of the roof to be utilized for this purpose. The current license agreement will expire in April 30th of 2022. Next slide. And the terms for this agreement really is representative of ongoing increases to the market of 3% per year over the 5-year term. We did inquire by our real estate provider as far as the reasonableness of this rate. Do you want to add a few remarks, Leora?
I would just say typically cell phone towers are 200 square feet at 10,000 a month. So this is 50 square feet at about 3,000 a month. So it's on par.
So we are definitely within the market of this. And this, because this is not the same as obviously an occupied space inside our hospitals. So we did do some additional due diligence with our colleagues, and this is well within market. And I think the next slide is the resolution that I read as the request already. We're happy to take any questions. Given the nature of this resolution, I did not have our CEO at Harlem join us because there's no clinical related tie to this specific resolution.
So thank
Any
you.
questions?
Thank you, Ms. Flaherty. Let me go through each one of the committee members. Jose, any questions?
No questions, thanks.
Dr. Wei,
No questions.
Sally,
Unrelated question. Christina, are our electric bills doubling and tripling?
So I don't have my magic ball
That's
to
okay.
tell you what's going to happen with our electric bills. We do partner with the city, who actually Department of Citywide Administrative Services facilitates all of the city bills, and we provide our demand and utilization to them. And our energy team carefully works with the city on all of our energy reduction initiatives, and it's even more important for us to focus on our opportunities to reduce our energy utilization. I can't comment to the actual costs of the bill itself and the rate that Con Ed would impose.
Okay, thank you.
thank
Thank
you, Sally. No question from me, Christine. So let me ask for a vote.
Actually, can I ask a question?
Yes, Eric.
Christine, when we do things like this, the radio communication system, what's the due diligence we do to make sure it doesn't interact with our hospital IT equipment or clinical equipment?
So that's a great question. I think for anything new, we're absolutely running it through Kim and her team. I think this is a relatively old system that has been functional for a long period of time. And so I would have to defer to the EITS colleagues a bit, but I think when we looked at this piece of equipment, there was really no indicator that there were concerns. And I think with the overall citywide efforts on on communication and cybersecurity, those would all be coordinated with the ITS. Does that answer your question, Eric?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further questions? In that case, let me get the vote. Jose,
Yes.
Dr. Wei,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
Peniowski, yes. So the resolution passed to be forwarded to the full board. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you so much. Our next resolution is authorizing New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, the system, to sign a 5-year revocable license agreement with Panera LLC, Panera, for the use and occupancy of approximately 3,167 square feet in 3 locations, including a basement production facility of approximately 2,341 square feet and 2 retail locations within NYC Health and Hospitals Bellevue, for the operation of a restaurant at a monthly charge of $20,833.33 per month for the first year of operation, with annual increases of 2.5%, provided there shall be a 3-month abatement of the occupancy fee at the start of the agreement, for a total revenue to the system of $1,251,581.93 over the 5-year term. I'm joined today by our COO, Marcia Peters of Bellevue Hospital, and I'll let her present this resolution, the beginning of the resolution.
Thanks, Christine. Good morning, everyone. Bellevue has offered food, including healthy food options, to staff and visitors for over 30 years.
I'm sorry, it's a little hard to hear. Could you get closer to the mic? There you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Oh, great. So Bellevue has offered food, including healthy food options, to staff and visitors for over 30 years. We currently have a sit-down diner, which serves a variety of hot and nutritious foods, and we also have Auburn Pond, which is a bakery-style cafe. Auburn Pond has been operating successfully at Bellevue for over 10 years, and as Christine indicated, we have 3 locations: a basement where we prepare the food, and there's a bakery, and then there's 2 locations, one in the F-Link and one in the atrium. It offers 24-hour service in the main location. Both ABP, which is Auburn Pond, and Panera are affiliated companies with similar operations, selling breakfast baked goods, soup, sandwiches, and salads. Next slide, please. The proposal is for Panera to assume ABP operations in its current footprint after some modernization and rebranding. This is all in keeping with the holding company's plan of converting ABPs to Panera. Panera will occupy a little over 3,000 square feet, both, as I said before, in the basement and on the main floor. Panera and Auburn Pond operates at a number of hospitals in the area. Panera will also offer healthy food options, some plant-based options, and recent taste tests have shown that Panera outperformed ABP in all of the options offered. Panera will not increase its prices above CPI without Bellevue's prior approval. Panera is privately owned. Next slide. This is what the footprint will look like. Panera is privately owned by JAB Holdings in Germany. They are both subsidiaries at St. Louis, Missouri, that operates over 2,000 restaurants in North America. Panera brand offers 3 different tiers of pricing, with hospital pricing as the least expensive tier. There are several Paneras within the greater New York metropolitan area, including Long Island Jewish, New York Presbyterian, St. Joseph's University Medical Center. And outside of this area, the company operates restaurants at the University of Chicago, Advocate Lutheran General Hospital, Rush University Medical Center, and Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine. And that's it.
Thank you, Marcia. So we'll just quickly, apologies for the PowerPoint confusion. So you want to go back one? We'll fix the order in the future. So
Yeah.
so this was the slide that Marcia covered with the background of Panera. If we can just go up 2 slides for a second. Up. Okay. Okay, you could go to next. Apologies. Okay, so there is a slide that's in your package which covers food services at H&H. There's food services that are throughout our system and a number of our sites. We have moved as a system towards license agreements for these providers. And you can see a list of some of them on slide 3 of your package at both Bellevue, Kohler, Coney Island, Elmhurst, Jacoby, Carter, North Central Bronx, Queens, Seaview, and Woodhull. I would say the Andes at Coney Island I visited recently, and it was very crowded in a good way, where lots of staff are using those services. So a big benefit for our system. If we can go forward with the license agreement terms themselves, we have an occupancy fee here of $20,833 per month with a 3-month abatement. That fee will be escalated 2.5% for a total of $1.2 million over the 5-year term. Panera is going to be responsible for the cleaning, the maintenance, and the regulatory filings. The rendering that was shown before shows you a picture of the improvement work that Panera will be responsible for, really creating more of a grab and go opportunity for the staff, which will really enhance the space that's there today, which is also a great space that I've used myself, and it'll be nice to see this improvement for the staff. The occupancy fee here is averaged out at $78.93 a foot. The market of the basement is at $30 per foot, and the ground floor is $80 per foot. So here we have a balance between the two, and that agreement can be terminated upon 30 days notice. Finally, the last slide, I believe, is the resolution itself. I'm happy to have us take any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you, Christine. Let me go by each one of the members. Jose, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Dr. Wade?
So Christine, forgive my ignorance here. Are all of these arrangements in other hospitals just kind of licensing and renting out space, or do they ever share in revenue or profits of what Panera will be selling?
So it's a combination currently, Eric. There have been a number of places where concession agreements exist. I think that the system has identified an opportunity to make these transactions more simple and clear, because concession agreements are very complicated and require substantial due diligence and management. And so we've been working with each of our facility sites and supply chain on transitioning into a license agreement arrangement where they're really occupying the space. And in some cases, the vendors are coming in and improving the space to provide cost-effective and nutritious options for the staff at each of the facilities.
All right, thank you for that, Kristen. Do you have any idea, ballpark, what annual profit Panera would make on this, or ABP before them?
I don't know. We do not know that information.
Okay.
We do know that they're working closely to keep the prices cost reasonable, and that their rates to increase has to be approved by Bellevue, which I think actually the most important thing for us is providing that access to nutritional food when our staff is on a quick break and they don't have time to run out beyond the walls of our campus.
Okay. Thanks, Christine.
Thank you, Dr. Wei. Sally?
Just a quick question. I thought, Christine, I may be confused about this, that one, they're charging the lowest tier that for the services they provide. Is there embedded a subsidy? Are we not going to full market rate in order to make the food more affordable to employees and to visitors?
Thanks for that question, Sally. I don't think we've gotten to the point where H&H is subsidizing per se, but we're providing an access of a tremendous volume of utilization, which is allowing, I believe, a very cost reasonable rate of the food. I mean, we provide it in the package, the menu and the pricing. And so I think that that is, you know, our goal was providing and finding providers that can provide, you know, the most cost effective rate for food access.
Okay, thank you.
Frida, do you have any questions?
Hi, Feniowski. Thank you. No questions.
Thank you, Frida. I just want to ask, I guess more from Marcia, how does this complement the food offering at Bellevue? And what are the offers for kind of local cuisine within our campus?
Okay, it complements it because what we currently have, we have a sit-down diner that serves hot meals, and some of it are ethnically based depending on the time of year. So we have a wide range of diner type foods with additional ethnic inspired foods. With this, with Panera Bread, it's more of a takeout grab and go style where you can have, there are a minimal amount of hot options, but mainly it's salads, it's sandwiches, hot and cold sandwiches, hot soups and oatmeals and things like that. So although we are close to a lot of restaurants in the Kips Bay, Murray Hill area, depending on where you're located in Bellevue, it can take you half an hour just to get out, 15 minutes to get out of the building to walk outside to look for something. So it's convenient. It's easy to pick up. It's grab and go. You can pre-order now with the new process. And I think it will complement what we currently have.
Oh, thank you for the explanation. Definitely, it's important to have choices and options for
Yes.
everybody that works at Bellevue, as also visiting because of visiting family members or friends at the hospital. So thank you. Any other questions? No, I will take a vote. Jose,
Yes.
Dr. Wei,
Yes.
Frida,
Yes.
Sally.
Yes,
I also vote yes, so the motion is carried and it's going to be forwarded to the full board committee. Thank you. We have a third, okay.
Thank you. Our next resolution is a request authorizing the New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, NYC Health and Hospitals, to execute a contract with Interstate Mechanical Services, the contractor, for an amount not to exceed $17,686,300 for construction services necessary for the replacement of a cooling tower and the upgrade of chilled water system at NYC Health and Hospitals Bellevue Hospital Center, Bellevue, with a 7% project contingency of $1,768,630 for unexpected changes in scope, yielding a total authorized expenditure not to exceed $19,454,930. And this resolution will be presented by Marcia Peters, our COO at Bellevue, and Oscar Gonzalez, our AVP of Capital Development.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Bellevue's chilled water system includes our cooling towers and our chillers. The cooling towers has a capacity of 12,000 tons, and the 4 chillers has a capacity of 9,000 tons. And they're located on the 23rd floor, which is the roof of our hospital building, and the chillers on the 13th floor respectively. The cooling tower is nearly at its end of life and needs to be replaced. During the summer of 2021, we felt the heat at Bellevue. Patient care was disruptive. Staff were forced to work in uncomfortable environment. And we had to shut the ORs and realign our services for 3 days. The hospital nearly endured a week's worth of canceled cases. Ambulatory care had to be rescheduled and closed early on most days. And we came very dangerously close to having a full diversion. Next slide. Okay.
Good morning. If we can just go back one slide a
Yeah.
little bit. As far as some of the scope of work, we're going to be replacing some cooling towers, some chillers, some variable frequency drives, the building automated system, and some ancillary equipment as part of the system upgrade. We are going to be doing some early packages as far as purchasing some of the equipment and implementing some of the BMS in order to keep our cooling system going during the summer months, and then do the full implementation in the fall. This was a procurement that was publicly bid. Next slide, please. This is a procurement that was publicly bid. Interstate became the lowest bidder out of 6 bidders, and they had a utilization plan, MWB a utilization plan of 30.45%. Listed below is the list of subcontractors that represent that WMBE utilization plan. The contract amount was $17,686,300, and the WMBE amount is $5,333,725. The contractor has not performed any work with any New York City agency, so therefore there's no MOX evaluation that was available. However, we do a lot of work with NYPA, and the contractor does work with them as well. So we did get a very good referral by NYPA. The project is expected to complete by 2023. The next slide shows the project budget. As previously mentioned, the construction will be for $17.7 million, and the project contingency is $1.7 million. Total project costs, including design fees, additional services, and equipment costs, will be $23.8 million. And the last slide shows the resolution.
Thank
I'll take any
you.
questions.
Thank you, Oscar. Let me go to each one of the members. Jose, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Wei?
No questions, but obviously 1000% supportive after spending 10 days without AC in Harlem. You had me at
So-
H. So
So you failed the heat, huh? Frida?
Yes, I could see why that would, I'm 1000% supportive as well. Sounds very challenging in the summer months last year. And I'm sure as we continue to have this strange, increasing climate change, heat wave, it's going to get worse. So very supportive. One quick question, just out of curiosity. So the contingency, actually, I think I just answered my own question. So do you usually budget a contingency as sort of a percentage of construction cost? Is that how do you plan for a contingency?
Typically it's about 10% of the construction costs. Here we're showing it as a representation of the entire project cost at 7%, I believe it was.
Got it. Thank you. No other questions.
Thank you, Frida. Sally?
I have a question that may have already been answered, but I'll ask it. When it comes to the selection of MWBEs, the RFP requires, I guess, that they get to 30%. Do the contractors select the MWBEs and come in with them? Do we provide lists of MWBEs? Do we monitor the performance of the MWBEs on these contracts?
So there's lots of different questions there. I'll go ahead and take that. So there's a few things we do proactively in advance of bidding and to engage the MWBE community. To start with, I will say these are hard money construction bids, and so the vendor selects their MWBE subcontractors that they choose, suppliers and service contractors, to put their bid together. However, we do outreach, working closely with Keith and the diversity team and supply chain. We try to advertise to various organizations so they're aware of these bids so that they can attend the pre-proposal meeting and provide their contact information to prime firms that might be bidding on the work. And so that's, we also maintain a list of MWBE firms that have come to our office interested in opportunities. We work with the National Association of Minority Contractors, as well as many other industry organizations so that they know about our bids when they're happening. And so that helps us ensure that we have a robust MWBE utilization plan. And then to your other question about compliance, we work closely with Gail on Keith's team and monitor participation at the point of execution, project execution. And that happens through the contractors reporting as well as their payment processing. So all of those are tools that we utilize to ensure the vendors are able to execute on the MWBE utilization plan they put forward. And we are working closely with Keith's teams now on some projects where we want to make sure the market can support MWBE utilization. So those are some of the efforts we work closely with Keith and Danielle and the supply chain team on.
Terrific.
Does that
Thank
answer
you.
all your questions?
It answers all my questions. Thank you, Christine.
Okay, thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Sally. Christine and Oscar, can you walk us through how we are going to manage this summer? Because this facility or this installation will not be done until next summer. So we understand that there were some complexities last summer in terms of potential diversion because of the heat and the system. Okay.
Yeah. So we're performing urgent emergency rebuilding of portions of the cooling tower to get us through this summer. So that's expense funded urgent needs. And then we do have some chiller capital work happening that will sustain the chillers for a longer period of time, some of the chillers, recognizing that some are being replaced. So we have been working very closely with our design team, with the operations team. Both Manny and Oscar have been in multiple all-hands meetings as we solve this current heating season coming up. And we have secured specialty vendors to work on the old existing equipment and keep that equipment going for one more season. So we do have a plan. We're all working hard diligently to ensure we don't have another situation that could be very debilitating for our system.
And we appreciate Christine's and her team's work in trying to resolve this and to get us through this summer.
I will point out that one nuance here was Interstate Mechanical, who was the bidder here, actually was the vendor who ended up assisting at Harlem during the dire days of last summer. And that's how he learned about the fact that we bidded work ourselves. He had been working on a lot of NYPA projects as a subcontractor. So this was an opportunity for him to bid on work for us in the city.
Well, thank you, Christine. And another question, well, two-part question. One is, for those emergency contracts, is that something that is going to come to the board for the kind of the bridge on the situation that we have now?
Those are not emergency where Dr. Katz had to declare an emergency. They're smaller in scale. They're small repairs, but they're very specialized small repairs. We worked closely with supply chain. We went to multiple bidders to try to see who could perform the work. It's a smaller value than $1 million, so it meets all of our OP criteria. So I just did want to point out one body of work is expense repair work, and another body is a smaller scale also competitively also procured, which is more reinvestment in some of the chillers.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification, and I'm very, very happy that we have a plan for this summer because we don't want Bellevue to have any other challenges. Definitely, we don't want that. I just have a question about Oscar's presentation. The date that was given for completion was very general of 2023. Are we talking about May 2023 or when in 2023?
It would be around spring of 2023. So we're going to start the physical work, actually removing some of the cooling towers in the fall, but everything's got to get sequenced along with the chiller work and everything up operational and commissioned by spring before the heating season starts in the summer.
The
2023.
cooling season.
Sorry, the cooling season, yes.
Okay. So in that case, it would be good to know there so that you put the commitment that it's going to be the end of spring or May, whatever you want to put it, but that is there before the next, the 2023 cooling system. Okay.
Okay.
That is my questions. Again, thank you for all the work that you're doing and ensuring that all our facilities are up and running. I know that they are old and some of the systems are getting to, well, they have been beyond their life cycle. So we are appreciating that you are taking this on and ensuring that our facilities provide the support that we need for our staff and our patients. And so let me just ask, is there any further questions to Christine and Oscar on this particular issue? Okay, so let me ask Jose,
Yes.
you both, for your vote. Dr. Wade,
Yes.
Frida,
Yes.
okay, thank you, Frida. Sally,
Yes,
and I also vote yes. The motion is carried and is going to be forwarded to the full board. After this point, I recuse myself, and Jose, you are going to continue to conduct the meeting. Is that correct?
Thank you so much, Dr.
Okay,
Fernando.
see you. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye. So let's move to
Thank
the
you.
fourth resolution. Oscar Gonzalez.
Thank you. I'm going to read it in the record. Thank you. Authorizing New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, NYC Health and Hospitals, to execute a contract with Gemco Electrical Contractor, the contractor, for amount not to exceed $27,559,902 for construction services necessary for the decanting of NYC Health and Hospitals Woodhull Hospital Center with an 8% project contingency of $3,130,858 for unexpected changes in scope, yielding a total authorized expenditure of $30,690,760. I will hand it to our CEO, Greg Calise of Woodhull Hospital, Aaron Anderson, our AVP of Correctional Health Services, and Oscar Gonzalez, our AVP of Capital Development.
Thank you, Christine. Actually, I'm going to hand it off to Aaron Anderson, who's going to give us a little background on the OTXHU program that we're implementing across the system.
Thanks, Oscar. Good morning. I think most folks will be familiar with this, but just to refresh everyone's memory, so Outposted Therapeutic Housing Units, or OTXU, is a pioneering approach that increases access to high-quality healthcare for patients in custody in a safe and more humane way. So these are secured clinical units. They'll be operated by CHS within certain acute care facilities. And they're really for patients in custody who need higher levels of care than can be provided in the jail system, but whose clinical conditions are not so acute as to warrant inpatient admission. So it really bridges that gap. Decisions about admission to and discharge from these units will be made by CHS according to a patient's clinical needs. There are a number of benefits to this program. So it's a therapeutic and more normalized environment for patients who have complex clinical needs, increases safer access to specialty and subspecialty services for patients who need them on a regular basis, improves continuity of care between CHS and the rest of the system, and providers in inpatient, outpatient, and outposted services. Repurposes underutilized hospital space for patient care at no additional cost to New York City Health and Hospitals, and maybe most importantly, it's the capital infusion for prerequisite infrastructure improvements in the hospitals using city dollars.
Thank you, Aaron. And since that capital infusion, a lot has happened. We've been able to bring all our consultants on board, our designers, our construction managers, and we're basically broken up the work into 3 different pots. The work that's happening at Bellevue with the consultants and the contractors there. We continue with the design for the OTXHU at Woodhull. And for this specific portion, the decanting, our design is completed. Our CM firm is already on board, and we're trying to procure we're trying to enter into contract with our GC Gemco. Now, Greg, if you can give us a little insight on, the advantages of the enabling portion of this work.
Good morning, everybody. So for Woodhall's program, we are trying to take a significant portion of the 10th floor and also a significant portion of the 9th floor to be able to accommodate the correctional health program. And to do that, we have to be able to move all of the services and the programs that are now 9 and 10 to be absorbed within the hospital so that we could make sure we can have a seamless and a smooth transition. So on the 10th and the 9th floor, a lot of those services and those programs are actually administrative services. And we have kind of dispersed them within the hospital. Most of those services are going to the 6th floor, and some would be accommodated also on the 3rd floor and the 2nd floor. For the last year, the staff at the hospital has been working with the architects and the construction consultants to make sure that we can try to do this as painless as possible. And I think we have done a pretty good job in terms of making sure that we could upgrade the spaces where these programs are being relocated to, and that the staff that are being relocated are comfortable, as well as the staff within the rest of the hospital. So specifically, if you look at this slide, it states that most of the administrative and the department space are from 10 going down into 6. Occupational health, which is now on 10, would be relocated again down to the 6th floor as well as the 3rd floor. Occupational health is going from one side of the 10th floor to another side of the 10th floor. Respiratory therapy is moving from 9 to 6. The pediatric unit is moving from one side of the 6th floor to another end of the 6th floor. And dialysis is remaining where it is. The nurse call center is moving from the 6th floor to the 3rd floor. A lot of the other programs and offices are going to be, again, absorbed into the 6th floor. And also for the 9th floor, you have chemical dependency, which is the largest clinical program that's going to be affected here. The outpatient chemical dependency program is moving from the 9th floor down to the 5th floor, which is going into a vacant unit at this point in time. Respiratory therapy, as we said before, from 9 down to other floors. And a lot of the on-call rooms on the 9th and the 10th floor would be incorporated into the 6th floor. So like I said, at this point in time, it was a challenging task, but the staff, because of the fact that the staff has been involved in the planning and the relocation, folks are relatively satisfied at this point in time.
Thank you, Greg. And so let me talk a little bit about the procurement. In November, we posted on City Record. We did our site tour, and 8 vendors attended at that time. In January, we received 5 proposals, and on January 19th, we actually found the lowest bidder to be deemed non-responsible, as they were not able to self-perform for at least 25% of the work. Therefore, we went to the second lowest bidder, Gemco. This was publicly bid. As I mentioned on City Record, Gemco was the second lowest bidder of the 5 bidders. The MWBE utilization plan is 41.51%. And listed below are the list of subcontractors that will be performing the work as MWBEs. The contract amount is for $27,559,902, and the WMBE amount is $11,402,359,000. Sorry, $402,359. Gemco is currently on our JOCS contract, our job order contracts that we have in place. They were also on our previous job order contracts. They have rated 93% respectively in their evaluation. And they have very good MOX ratings as well as when it comes to their evaluations. The project is expected to complete in 2023 if we are able to register the contract by June of 2022. The next slide shows the project budget. As I mentioned, the construction amount for 27.5 million and the project contingency of 3.1 million, and all the other ancillary costs of the designers and other consultants, giving a project total of 39 million altogether. And the last slide shows the resolution. We'll take any questions that you may have at this time.
So thank you so much. Let me go around board members for any questions. Dr. Wei,
No questions.
thank you. Rita Wan,
Hi, thank you, Jose, and thank you for the presentation. We've obviously been following this project and very excited about it. Sounds like the progress has been good. I just had a couple of more technical questions on the contracting and what we're approving. So I think we're just approving the GEMCO contract and the project contingency. Is that right? I didn't go back and look at the.
That is correct, yes.
So it's not the full 39 million. It's the 27 and the 3.
27 plus the 3, correct.
Plus the 3. And the other expenses and contracts, are those already procured, or so the CM and the PM and design, that's already?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. The designer is already on board. He's actually got the design completed. The PM is already on board, and the CM is already on board, Hunter Roberts. We do have placeholders for abatement and the FF&E package, which is not complete yet, but everything else we've already contracted out.
Okay, and those were the amounts that have already been either expended or agreed to, basically. They're not estimates. Is that right?
Which ones? The consultants?
Yeah.
These are,
These are contracted amounts.
yeah, so Frida, you may recall the board approved the ACOM program management contract across both sites, as well as the design E4H contract, because those were over 5 million and serving multiple, actually E4H did not go to the board because that was a smaller scale contract.
Okay.
That went to CRC for approval, and Hunter Roberts also went to CRC for approval because it was under 5 million.
Got it.
But these are values tied to already awarded
contract
assignments. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then GEMCO on the JOCS contracts, it sounds like you guys have used them quite a bit, that you've been very happy with them. Is that right?
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, they're very good contractor.
Great. And then in terms of capacity, does that affect, will you have to use them less on those jobs, or that won't impact your ability to perform with their other services, will it?
We're not expecting any issues.
Okay, terrific. And the last question is just on the funding. It's I think I saw somewhere with the GEO bonds of the city. Is that the allocation for H&H's GEO bond funding, or it's being funded by the city?
It's being funded by the city.
Okay.
Mayoral
Through the
capital.
mayoral capital funds, specifically through the CHS DOC pot of money.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Sally Hernandez.
2 questions. I just wanted to understand what you meant with the lowest bidder not able to meet the self-performance of 25%. What does that mean?
That means every prime contractor that comes on board, they have to at least perform with their own labor 25% of the contract amount. In this case, the vendor was not able to prove that he was going to self-perform that, and instead he was going to subcontract majority of the contract. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And my second question is for Greg. First of all, I love this project, and it looks like it's accelerating, so it's all very exciting. I am a little concerned, Greg, that there's so much movement and so many services within the hospital, and especially the chemical dependency, the pediatric. Has there been a disruption in service delivery? Do you expect one, or is it all under control?
We believe it's under control. I mean, obviously, like you said, with so much movement, there's going to be some impact, but we believe that the impact is going to be minimized. Everything is being planned and staged to make sure that we could really minimize whatever disruption in services. So we are actually starting using the vacant units, and we do have some vacant units. Like, for example, the 5th floor where chemical dependency is going into, that unit is first of all going to be renovated. Once it's finished, then we could move chemical dependency in there, which leaves the existing footprint that chemical dependency is now available for construction. The same thing with pediatrics. The side that pediatric is moving into, that side is going to be renovated first. Once the renovation is complete, then we move pediatrics. So everything is staged to make sure that we could minimize the disruption in services. But so far, we anticipate very minimal disruption.
Okay, thank you, Greg. That's it.
Thank you, Sally. And that actually, that was the question that I had on it, even how much, people may dislike moving in and out and all the disruption, also with patient flow. So thank you, Greg, for answering that. Okay, so let me move down to a vote then. Dr. Wei,
Yes.
thank you. Frida Juan,
Yes.
Sally Hernandez Piñero,
Yes,
Jose Pagano, yes. So resolution is approved. Thank you so much to the whole team. Greg, Aaron, Oscar,
Thank you.
Thank you.
and Christine, of course. So this resolution, Christine or Oscar?
Thank you. Our last resolution is authorizing New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, the system, to increase the funding for 7 construction management CM consulting firms, namely ACOM USA Inc., Armand Corporation, Gilbane Building Company, Jacobs Project Management Company, McKissick & McKissick, TDX Construction Corporation, the McLeod Group LLC, together the vendors, to provide professional construction management services on an as-needed basis by $40 million, to bring the limit for all vendors to a new amount not to exceed $50 million. And I will be supporting Oscar, our AVP of the Capital Group, on this last resolution. Oscar, take it away.
Good morning. Take care. As Christine mentioned, this is a request to increase the not to exceed amount for the CM pool of professional services across our system. There's many reasons why we need to increase our pool. We have received $98 million worth of bond refinance funds that were made available, $1.2 billion worth of mayoral funds to be expended by between fiscal year 22 and 26, and $30 million for borough presidents and city council funds. In addition, we are trying to secure funding for a number of critical clinical and high priority projects. We're also getting a lot of support from DCAS and our carbon energy reduction grants in order to reduce our carbon footprint across our system. So they are also providing us a lot of monies, which is great news to have. However, we need a lot of resources, and we need to be able to manage these projects on an as-needed basis. We need to bring teams, extensions of our staff, to be able to do report writing, scheduling, reviewing material, inspecting work, making recommendations, strategizing on delivery, record keeping, investigations, doing a series of types of testing and laboratory analysis and reports. And also just overall just providing good qualified field superintendents. So the contract was approved by the board in November 2020. However, the procurement actually started pre-COVID. So it was for a very long period of time that we were trying to get the CM on board. And as a result, we finally got the pool. We got 7 firms selected from the pool. 7 of those firms all 7 were contracted for a 3-year term, 2 one-year options, at an original not to exceed amount of $10 million. Now, I want to emphasize that $10 million was supposed to be spent within 3 years plus 2 options of 1 year. However, the majority of that $10 million was spent in the first year. So therefore, we're requesting for an increase of an additional $40 million to a new not to exceed amount of $50 million. The pool always had a original utilization plan requirement of 30%, which was submitted by all the vendors, and all the vendors provided a total of 39 MWBE specialty subconsultants. And three of the 7 firms that were contracted were MWBE themselves. So below is the list of firms that were on the original pool: AECOM, Armon, Gilbane, Jacobs, McKissick, McLeod, and TDX. The next slide will show you that the amounts on the right side of the graph, the dark blue and the orange, are already committed amounts. A lot of it by the bond work, some of it by city regulatory, and also state grants. Then you will notice the purple shade. That is all work that is pending with the at the controller's office or to be committed. Essentially, just leaving the aqua or teal color of about $1.7 million of the total $10 million that was allotted. All of this was spent in the first year, as I mentioned. This graph will show you the MWBE utilization CM pool, the list of firms, the number of work orders that was issued, the amount that was awarded, and their specific MWBE plan that they propose. Again, this contract came into effect in January of 2021. So only in the last 13 months, 14 months, what have we been able to really execute this work. And just recently, just want to highlight the CM pool. Jacobs was selected, but not yet awarded one project of a total of about $2 million. With an MWBE plan of 650, which means that takes us to our total of $8.2 million out of the 10 that has been utilized. Most of this work was issued through mini RFPs, but we did have a round of direct assignments by rotation, specifically for the bond projects, which total about 19 projects across 6 facilities. The next slide will show you an overall picture of their evaluations through mocks. Mostly, they are good and excellent. They've done a great job throughout the city and other city agencies as well. And the last slide just shows the resolution. I will take any questions you have.
Thank you so much, Oscar. Any questions, Dr. Eric Way?
No questions.
Thank you. Rita Wan?
I understand that there's been a dramatic increase in projects and activity, which is wonderful, terrific, much needed, and very difficult for you guys, and a great job that you've been managing. Just wondering, is that really the drive? I mean, is the access to funds the driver of that? Or because when you estimated 10 million for 3 years plus the 2 extensions, I'm not sure, I don't remember when this contract was originally approved. Was the scope of what you thought you were doing a lot less? Or I'm just trying to get a little sense of how it went.
I'll take that
so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, so when we first initiated RFPs for construction management, the construction management pool, I think Oscar had just maybe arrived to H&H, and we really had a small volume of work and awareness, frankly, of capital status.
Mhm.
And one of our strategies to ensure we're executing on the capital dollars we have is to put some dedicated resources on those projects and make sure we get our CPs in, we meet our design deliverables, procurement deliverables, and construction deliverables. So I would say it's a combination of an infusion of new funding, a modified approach that does allow us to bring in professional project management firms to support getting the capital work done. In some cases, I believe, no fault of anyone, there was a thinking that we had to do it for the least amount, and in that it wasn't able to get done because there was not enough hands to help get it done. So we definitely have, this is a capitally eligible consulting area of work. And so these costs go into the budget for the project. And I think we are seeing the ability to deliver projects by having construction managers alongside of us managing the projects and handling the bandwidth that our sites need. And so I think it's a combination of those factors. I will just highlight for purposes of this committee that for larger scale projects, we are soliciting construction management firms directly. And so right now there's active procurements for Elmhurst Hospital and North Central Bronx. So there is additional outreach happening for additional construction management firms to compete. But in order for us to assess the market and procure another round of pool vendors, we don't want to lose any continuity for capital work that's planned. And so that's why we're seeking this $40 million increase to give us adequate time to assess what the next round of pool CM vendors should be based upon the capital work that we have in the early stages.
Thank you. That's a very helpful explanation. I think it kind of brings a couple other questions to mind. Is these are going to be for the smaller projects, as you just mentioned. You are procuring separate CMs for bigger projects. So for example, we just approved the outposted therapeutic, and that was a CM contract, right? So that would not be funded here. You would be funded separately. And so when two parts to that question. One is the amounts that we're authorizing here, we can assume that a project that you're doing there is not going to be then brought forth with a different amount, so an increment, like it'll all be encompassed in one project budget, if that makes sense, right? Or would they be projects that wouldn't necessarily come separately to the committee?
Correct. They wouldn't come separately to this committee. These would be projects that would have smaller work order values, less than $5 million. And so these, as shown by slide 5 that shows the MWBE plan, you'll see, it's a large number of work orders that really tie to specific discrete projects that are smaller in scale that we need to continue working on. We're starting to look at more of an approach of a comprehensive set of projects, and that's where we are procuring standalone procurements, and those procurements would be coming to the capital committee for approval.
And then the other question was on actually this slide. It was the I think you mentioned, Oscar, that most of the procurements have been through mini RFPs, but that you did do kind of a rotational award as well on some of the bond finance projects. Does that mean, I just want to make sure I understand what that means. So if you had a rotate, you just go through the list and everybody would get a bit of a project, excuse me.
That's exactly correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then so the McKissick and McKissick, I think the footnote, does that mean they declined the work that was offered on the rotation?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. Do we have a sense, is that relationship okay? I mean, I don't want to.
Yeah, the relationship is okay. I think towards the beginning they were looking for larger work, and then COVID hit. And I know they had some issues with their staff. They weren't able to support, but they have been trying to get on additional assignments, mostly through the mini RFPs, but they just haven't been selected yet.
Right.
But they are going to be a little bit more aggressive in their bidding style, and hopefully get some work moving forward. And similar with Gilbane, they've only had a small amount of work where they haven't had the ability to subcontract to MWBE. So we've also had a conversation with them, and they're going to step it up a little bit.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Frida. So Sally Hernandez-Piña.
Thank you, Jose. I think this could look like a sole source contract for 4 firms, because you're going from $10 million over 3, potentially 5 years to $50 million. Is it over the same 3 to 5 year period? And what I hear you saying is that there's been such an unanticipated infusion of funds that they're kind of exigent circumstances that require you to use these firms for a lot more work. I mean, theoretically, you could RFP for $40 million, you RFP for $10 million. But I think the argument you're trying to make is that time is of the essence. You really have so many projects that you have to get started on that you don't have the luxury of an RFP now.
So I think, correct. I think you framed some of this in a way that's accurate. I think this is for all 7 firms. So this 40 million would be for all 7 firms to have access for continued assignments within the already authorized timeframe. So I think we want to continue to engage these entities to support. And as Oscar mentioned, we're looking at strategies on the areas where we see, whether it be MWBE plans or MWBE firm that hasn't had the opportunity to support us yet. We do want to look at capacity as well as assignments and strategies. I don't know enough to say sole source, but we're trying to ensure that we're able to continue the same scope of services that were competitively procured, and allow that firm to at least finish out their 3-year term. It's highly likely that we will solicit another pool of CM vendors way before the 5-year term that these contracts have, because even the 40 million, we probably will engage at a higher burn rate based upon what we're seeing of the contract, and we'll need a new set of competitive procurements. So I think we purposefully did not make it any higher, but we needed enough breathing room. These types of procurements take a substantial amount of time. We engage all of our facility leaders that are at the sites for their review and assessments of potential firms. And we really want to give ourselves as much breathing room as possible in setting up a new pool of CM firms in the long term.
Yeah, it sounds like you're gonna be upping the ante in terms of the dollar amount on future CM contracts, given the amount that you're projecting going forward. So
that would be accurate.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. So let me then ask for a vote. Dr. Wade,
Yes.
Frida Wan,
Yes.
Sally Hernandez-Pineda,
Yes.
and Jose Pagan, yes. Thank you so much, Oscar and Christine. I expect that you will be coming to this committee a little more often over the next years. So on that note, is there any old or new business to come before the committee? There being no further discussion, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Be
Bye.
well.
Thank you.
Be well.
Bye.
Bye.